Today I'm welcoming back Dr. Aubrey Wallace. On the agenda today, we're going to talk about her new power-up deck and the power-up revolution that goes with that. Talking about how colors affect us, citing a lot of Jacob Lieberman's work. The idea that the tears that we cry can help alleviate the reason why we have tears in the first place. We talk about manifesting and the process of trusting your intuition. So there's a lot of stuff that we really kind of cover today. And I just love talking with Dr. Aubrey. She's so charismatic and energetic, and just ability to move between topics and subjects is very beautiful. I really hope you get something out of the conversation. We'll see you on the other side. But first, this message. No matter how much we prepare, the holidays tend to stress us out. So this year, take a moment to reset and recenter with a grounding retreat in Costa Rica. Join Jeff Hawkins, Steve Wimmer, Cameron Nagashima, and myself, Adam Reel, for a one-week immersive yoga retreat at Blue Osa Resort, backed up to miles of pristine beach. Every day you'll have an option to experience yoga, meditation, relaxation, self-discovery, adventures, or your own personal free time. This is a time to build your peaceful practices before you need them. Take this time for yourself. Visit GarudaWellness.com for details. We have pricing options available, and if you pay in full by July 1st, you receive a 20% discount. Through the experiences offered, there's a lot of different ways to build your practice and approach this retreat. Take time to create space for yourself so you can hold space for others. Reset and recenter. Visit GarudaWellness.com for more information. That's Garuda, G-A-R-U-D-A, Wellness, WELLNESS.com. GarudaWellness.com. And now an uninterrupted podcast with Dr. Aubrey Wallace. All right, welcome back to our show. Today I'm joined by the lovely Dr. Aubrey Wallace. Dr. Aubrey has been on the show before. We talked about embodying evolution, and many reasons why I have Dr. Aubrey back. One is just, I talk to Hannah Talbot every once in a while, mutual friend of ours. And I swear every time she talks to me, she tells me about how excited something that you've done has made her. And I just love when people have that impact on people and maybe they don't even realize it. So, I always get this kind of like this check-in with Hannah, but also this peripheral, like Dr. Aubrey kind of like check-in also. And so it's like, yeah, you know what? You've been doing some awesome things and we need to catch up. So I'm really excited to have you back. You're in my new space.
Yes.
This is the first recording I've done in the new office. So I'm really excited about that. And you've been just really busy. I think the last time we talked, you were talking about the power-up deck that you've been working on.
Yes.
You were excited about it, but it wasn't ready yet.
Yes.
And here we are. Now you have the power-up deck.
I do.
Yeah. So how, like, what was the purpose for you to kind of follow this intuition to create this power-up oracle deck that you've got?
Well, I started with writing the Power Up book and realized that as I was writing a lot of the concepts and the exercises and things that I would need just a lot more accessible, simple explanation for how to do those exercises. And so I got so frustrated a little bit with trying to explain myself to people that I'm just like, what if I hand them a circle that says this? So my good friend Christina Mann, who is actually an LSCSW in Kansas, sat down with me and we made it into a deck.
Okay.
And so the idea was to use the color therapy in the aspect of the deck to help people understand things on a simple level, but also impact them on the color level.
And what is the color therapy?
What the heck is that?
Colors to me, I immediately revert to chakras, right?
Yeah.
And so, is that something that's
They're
similar?
in there.
Yep, I saw that. Yeah,
Yes. So I don't know how far down you want me to go on this, but colors to me impact us on all sorts of levels. They can impact us on just a feeling level. They can absolutely impact us as far as the idea of the chakras. We have a color for each chakra, supposedly one, depending on which system you play.
Right.
My readings for the longest time, I've never seen just one color on the chakras. Usually since starting my readings, I will see a particular color come in for someone to help support them in a particular area. And my body maps and body maps are all based on color. So for me, the colors all have different meanings and they all have different significance. And originally, actually, we talked about making a marker set for all of my different colors have names like demanding of the sacred and feisty love in action and grounded in vision. Like a particular color has a particular meaning. So,
I love that.
yeah, I may still do the markers, but we started with the deck so that I can explain to people, when you see on your reading, when you have your whole left arm is the color of grounded in vision, that means that you will be receiving right now through being grounded in the vision of your life. So it's helping to educate people a little bit on what my weird colors are.
Okay.
But also just looking at that color helps that person to anchor in the feeling of that state, right?
Okay.
So the idea is if I need to feel grounded in vision today, I can just look into the color of under the Tuscan sun red, right? And feel myself ground in kind of effortlessly to that frequency of color.
And with the color therapy idea, is that something that you can embrace? Like, okay, let's say I'm feeling sad today.
Yeah.
So what color would sad be? Usually like a blues or a...
So sad is not in there.
Oh, okay.
The emotions, everything is completely individual for me.
Okay.
So the way that I would play that is to be like, Adam, think of feeling sad. Now close your eyes and see a color. What do you see?
To me, I see like a blue, like a deep bluish green kind of color.
Beautiful. So now I want you just to feel that color.
Okay.
And if you like, you can imagine just a big sphere of that color in front of you.
Okay.
There you go. Now, does it feel better to you to feel that color or worse?
Oh, interesting. It kind of feels better to acknowledge the color.
Great. So why don't we try drinking it in? So
Okay.
like jump in there in your mind, jump into the middle. And that particular color is my color for surrendered to grace.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Okay.
Now see how it feels. So now we're moving into color being a therapy like homeopathy, right? So your cells actually can drink the color in and be impacted so that they express at that level of frequency.
Wow. So this is totally a tangent now. I love this. So
Welcome
is it like
to me.
yeah, right. Would that be instead of always trying to push away those seemingly bad, negative, unsettling feelings, is that a way to fully embrace that state that you're in? Like you said, drink in that color, be present in that color. Is that like hearing the message of what that emotion needs to tell you, or that state of mind needs to tell you, instead of us kind of pushing it away like we traditionally do as humans?
Sometimes I think it is, and sometimes I think your guides just give you the color you need, and it depends on what happens. So I studied a little bit of the color therapy with Jacob Lieberman's work.
Okay.
He's wonderful, by the way. I probably shouldn't promote him, but I would like to promote him. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's Light as Medicine is his book, but the way he talks about homeopathy with color is that each of the studies on cells actually show that if a cell is healthy, it can receive the full spectrum of light. It can receive the whole rainbow.
Okay.
And they've also studied sick cells like cancer cells, and they can't absorb all of the frequencies of light in them, right? So they started to notice, well, this one can't absorb red, this one can't absorb blue. And so Jacob's work, Dr. Lieberman's work, is around, he started to test to see, can we enhance the body's ability to receive the light. And so for him, he thinks of it very much like homeopathy, that you dose a little color and see how the person does with that. So there are naturally colors we don't resonate with.
Right. And
his idea is to just step into that, watch your body's reaction to it, and then step out of it, right?
Yeah.
And see if it helps to balance anything in your system.
Wow.
Mine tend to be, I'm really goofy and I like to play.
Yeah.
And I also really, my guides are very playful in general. And so I think oftentimes the colors come in as helpful or healing,
Yeah.
right? So you'll get the color, if you're playing with me, you'll often get the color that helps evolve whatever's going on for you, or move you into that next happy part.
And that's kind of where I was going with the question I was posing is let's say that sadness again, that,
Yeah.
would let's say that blue green, would I guess I think what I'm trying to say is like, should I want to counter that sadness? Like say like red is a counter color to that blue green because red maybe just brings in joy or happiness. So would I want to maybe wear red that day?
I don't.
Or
How does red feel?
okay, I love that. And this is that building of the intuition that I mean you talk about a lot, in the work that you do.
The basis, I
Yeah.
think, yeah. And I'm also not one that needs to counter sadness. So,
Cool.
If you'd like, you can unpack it.
Yeah.
Like, just go in there, dive in there, and be like, "Hi, hi, sadness.
Yeah.
How are you today?"
And I think that's such a beautiful message because, and the reason why I was trying to ask those questions is because I think subconsciously, like sometimes we just want the answer, right?
Of
It's
course.
not like, no, I don't want to feel into me. I want you to tell me what to do. So if I'm feeling blue and I wear red, red's better than blue. Red makes me feel happy. So I'm going to wear red. Well, no, let's
Great.
actually figure out why you're feeling the sadness in the first place. Like
Don't
step
worry,
in
it'll
towards it.
get worse. Right? It's okay. You can make any of the choices either direction. Because
Yeah.
if you're denying your sadness and you put on red, you might feel a little bit better for a minute, and then you'll also feel that you're denying your sadness.
Right.
So, there are so many. Usually, when the body actually gives a message of an emotion, I almost always start with listening to it, just listening, and then. Because I'm a crazy, wicked empath, I usually also start with, is this mine?
Right.
That one's really big for me. So it's like, and a lot of times it isn't.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is. And my other games are, what age is this? Like, because if I feel like I just got triggered by something, I will literally be like, oh, it's 14. So right now I'm 14 years old. Why am
Yeah.
I feeling 14? And then I can unpack a little bit of what's going on with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just sad. Like if you already know, I'm sad today. Crying helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
More sometimes than the color blue.
Right. I read something recently about tears, and it's I can't remember which body of knowledge is studying this, but
Yes.
that your tears create the chemical compound to help cure the reason why you're crying in the first place, or soothe the reason why you're crying in the first place.
The studies actually show the proteins are different depending on what tears you're crying. So tears of joy for you have
Yeah.
different proteins in them, different peptides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than the ones for sadness, but the ones that we have for sadness have antidepressant impact. Like your body is pretty
Freaking smart as
amaze
shit.
balls.
Good
yeah.
God Almighty.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's-
It doesn't do anything on accident.
Yeah, right. And so getting back to your Oracle deck, I think, through that, my line of questioning
Yes.
of like somebody that knows but doesn't know, right?
Yeah.
I understand the work you're doing, but I'm also like seeing it through the lens of the filter that I've been blessed with, cursed
Yay.
with, whatever you want, right?
It's not a curse.
But it's so cool to embrace where you're at,
Yes.
to understand, to be inquisitive with where you're at instead of constantly trying to push away this moment to get to the next moment, the next feeling, the next state of mind. Like, why am I here in the first place? Why am I feeling sad if I'm sad? Why can't I, how can I lean into or learn from the sadness?
And that's why the deck is a little bit, I mean, the easiest thing to do is pick a card. Adam. So I'm like,
Deal. All
let's
right.
see, I have sadness, pick a card, and then see, that's the whole point of it being easy to have a deck. Do you know what I mean?
All right.
There you go. What does that say?
Manifest, materialize.
Okay,
Color
so
purple.
interesting. So that card is about manifesting or materializing. So you might just look and see, is there anything I feel sad about with manifesting right now? Or did something I just manifest make me feel like I have to grieve or let go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
anything else that's going on with that. That's a totally different frame.
That
And be
is.
like, oh, I'm just kicking butt, taking names.
Yeah.
And change is hard, and sometimes I gotta let go.
And that's,
You've literally manifested a new office with an awesome amount of light and podcasting ability and sound healing and awesomeness over there too.
Yep. But with that same thing, it is the dichotomy of the two. It's as much as, like you said, manifesting. So manifesting to me is something fun, something joyful.
Yeah.
I'm building something. I'm creating something that I've
Boom.
always wanted.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't realize that there are sacrifices to manifesting.
Oh,
Like if
totally
just
disruptive.
because I want this brand new car and I feel like it's in my budget and I deserve it, maybe something what I would conceive as negative would have to happen for me to get that car. Maybe I get in an accident to where I can now get insurance money to afford that car. But now I have to have a broken leg for a while. Like shit. All right. Well, damn.
That's a rough one.
That's a tough one.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my ex fiance now and I have recently
sorry.
separated because she wants to pursue having a child, which I totally support. But
Yes.
I've already got two girls, right?
Yeah.
And so in that same vein, like the sacrifice of the relationship to reach for the happiness that you're manifesting.
Yes.
And that's that dichotomy, it's like the happiness with the sadness, the sadness with the happiness, the understanding that this has to shed so this can grow.
And the loving someone enough to let go when you know that each person needs something different, that their path is going a different way.
Right.
That stuff's rough, man.
It is rough.
Woo.
It is rough.
All right, I picked like 3 more cards on that one.
Yeah. Deal. All right.
Just kidding. I don't know if you want to share your life with the world there, but
Yeah,
woo.
heal.
Yeah,
Look at
that's
that.
subtle.
Yeah.
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 And I like heal because healing always, I call it intention, right? Intense intention. So you feel that tension inside of you right before,
Yeah.
right? Where it pulls, and then you could set your intention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun, when you can start to, I think what I'm starting to understand about this deck and just like the few cards I pulled, but the intuition side,
it's all that. Yeah.
When we can really understand our intuition, then you can understand, like, there's this beautiful concept that I heard recently, and it's not only are humans aware enough now in our existence that there's a thing that we call evolution.
Yes.
That everything is constantly evolving, whether we want it to or not. We can have a hand, but we don't, right? Or we cannot. But humans are in a place right now where we not only understand that evolution is happening, but we can manipulate it. We can put a hand in there. Whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, I'm not saying, right? But we now have that ability to where we can manipulate evolution. And so with that understanding, it's like maybe we can look at ourselves and see our own evolution, right? And see that, when you are relaxing, your feet are in the sand, you're looking at a beach with your beverage of choice in hand. That's great. That's integration time.
Yeah.
Your evolution time is when shit hits the fan and you have to go through sideways changes and maybe a change that you're not wanting to go through. It's forced on you. But that's our personal evolution.
Well, how do you grow without tension? Like, you have to have stress. Yeah. And the stress is, I think that's a good year for that conversation. I think many people are feeling that push to leap. And I do feel like a lot of people are feeling a really strong kind of awakening of their intuition in these different ways, or pressure on it almost, where people are not able to, it's harder to go against it, is kind of what I'm noticing. Like, they're like, oh, we've known this. I've known this for a long time, but now it's almost like I just can't not do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gone. The stakes are a little higher.
Right. And I think that's interesting. And that's where you can't ignore that voice anymore.
Yes, that's it.
I heard someone say one time, if you're sitting quiet or you're driving, whatever it is, but all of a sudden, like, you hear this scream inside of you.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most honest thing you've ever heard in your life, because that's finally you understanding, like, this just isn't right for you.
Yeah.
Right? This life, this atmosphere, this expectations we put on ourselves just doesn't make sense anymore. And I do feel like there are more people looking for answers right now outside of their religion, outside of their faith.
All over the place.
Looking more internal. Like, I've got, like, where are my answers at? Because this average Arianism answers that we've been looking at, like, this is the average set of humans, so we'll give an average set of answers for that when we look at it, doesn't even hit an average person.
Oh, AI is about to blow that out in 5 seconds. Hold on. But, like, what do you mean? Exponential change?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not. But
But so having these tools to where we can find the ways to build our intuition, to listen to our intuition, and to be able to have a human being that we can ask questions to as well. So you're yourself, and you have so many opportunities to to reach out to you to get direct contact, whether it's your YouTube stuff that you're offering, sessions that you book.
Yeah.
And sometimes like we need that teacher. Like so many of us have gotten by without having a teacher, a direct teacher, thinking that we're okay. And I'm speaking definitely to myself right now. But when we start to find the people that mesh with us and that have the information that we understand or that we're desiring, and that we feel a responsible like reciprocity there.
Yeah.
That teacher is such an integral part of your personal growth.
I agree. What does they say? If you want to learn it, teach it.
Yep.
That's been pretty much my whole life. So I really like the concept of asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And I like to go back to questions.
Yeah.
And I have so much evidence that everyone already has the answers in them. I can't even begin to tell you how much evidence I have of that.
Right.
So, but it does sometimes take some love, some space. Really helps to have another human. And just because we have we get a little confused in our own soup.
Yes.
And sometimes we get confused knowing that the soup that we're even in a soup, which is oftentimes the problem, right? So it helps to have another human just be like, I see ya, and I'm seeing these really cool things, and what if we ask this? Like, what if we look at it this way? Mm-hmm. And that seems to help.
Yeah. Well, with the deck that we just pulled from a couple times,
Yeah.
so there's colors, there's shapes, there's words, right?
Yeah.
So so if I guess an oracle deck, let's just kind of back a
what the
basic
heck it
oracle
is.
deck. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's a basic oracle deck? How would you describe an oracle deck?
So in my house, my wife and I have literally like this huge like group of oracle decks.
Yeah.
Everyone that comes to our house is like constantly picking cards, and even me, I was my aunts. We did women's retreats when I was young, and so we'd have we had a whole table of oracle decks. And an oracle deck really is just something that you go to just to kind of check into yourself and get guidance, kind of a little past you, right? So you can and get drawn to different ideas, different concepts, different ways of looking, and then a check-in on the inside for how does that fit for me? What does that mean?
Right.
And it can go all the way to like pure tarot, of course, which sometimes blows you out of the water, or other things where you just it reminds people of synchronicity. It reminds them of connectedness. And it's simple. It's a simple tool.
Yeah.
It's a deck of cards, so you can just grab it, play.
Yep.
Yeah, and it feels playful.
And one of the things that has really helped me with utilizing different oracle decks or tarot cards, like you mentioned earlier, is it helped me to stop rationalizing life.
Absolutely.
Like you mentioned synchronicities, and there are so many beautiful synchronicities, maybe coincidences, these things in life that aren't really random. It does make
They're
a
a
lot of
little too
sense.
perfect to be random.
Right.
Yes.
There's a quote I heard a while back that said, there's no such thing as random. It's randomness is just an unwritten or unrecognized universal law. And I love that because nothing is random, and so if we can stop rationalizing why I just thought about my brother and then my brother just called me, oh, that was weird. I wonder why that happened. Yeah, there was a reason that happened. You needed to talk to that human being.
Superpowers are working.
Right.
Yes.
And you mentioned earlier how there's seemingly a spontaneous eruption of intuition that people just don't know what to do with, and empathy. And all of a sudden people are like, I feel emotions. I've never felt an emotion before in my life.
All over the place.
Now I'm crying at the drop of a dime, and I'm like, all these things. And so like having a plethora really of tools to go to help us understand that, because your intuition is so unique to you.
Yeah.
Like when I first started tapping into my intuition, I would say I would feel a yes in my shoulder and a no in my hip.
Yay!
Very different now, but that was that initial point of like, okay, he can feel here, so let's like kind of poke him here really hard when it's a no, and then we'll kind of make a loving motion over here when it's a yes.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I'm feeling that. Oh my God, I feel like something talking to me. And then the more you dial into it, the more deeper you get. And so utilizing these
Yes.
these decks, these oracle cards. You're really kind of. It's almost like in my head, I picture my spiritual guides, my spiritual family, and they're just like pumping iron, like back in the '80s, like these
Absolutely.
short shorts that are neon with the
Oh,
stripes,
yes.
and they're like with the little
Get
tank
it?
tops.
Get
Yeah.
it? Yes. I've got the lady in the whole spandex. I'm
The
sorry,
unitard.
with the unitard. I'm seeing it. She's got it. Feel it. Feel it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, I love it.
I know as a doctor, a lot of people come to me to get an answer, and I less now since COVID, perhaps, that we've all had a breakdown of all things being real
Yeah.
or whatever that is. But I tend to spend all of my time trying to show people that their body's already helping them to navigate their intuition, and it will show up at the level you use it, right?
Yes.
And it's almost an infinite party. So it does sometimes feel a little overwhelming how that party can be.
Yes.
So a lot of times having someone who's listened to thousands of bodies be able to say, oh, well, this, or that actually looks like an ancestral pattern. What you thinking,
Yeah.
versus, your shoulder hurts. You just had someone, hit a door or something. There's a big range of sensation navigating.
Yeah.
That my trust your intuition class is what I usually play with on that. And we have one of those running probably from Hannah's again, but I don't have it set on my schedule yet.
Okay.
So
does that trust your intuition? Do you utilize the power up deck in that?
we will now.
Okay.
But no, that the Trust Your Intuition series is about, it's very similar to the chapters of my book. So it's kind of listening to your body, understanding empathy, listening to the voices in our heads and being able to discern which voice is that, which, is that my saboteur or is that my critic, right? Or am I actually hearing a guidance, how those voices sound, and then and how the mind works a little bit. And then gut level, heart level, and head level intuition. Just kind of understanding the differences with those. So it's just a little it's a playground of some real basics on listening to the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Like, I think as ignorant as I was, I also thought I had a lot figured out. Right.
Of course.
And I think that's, kind of plays into a lot of our shedding the arrogance of our understanding to realize that we don't know shit.
Well, you got to know it first and then realize you're an idiot.
Totally.
That's all of life, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think it was
Next tier.
interesting, like this dichotomy I had in my head about, first off, like when somebody said there is like this your spiritual family, your guides, your ancestors. Yeah. Nope, sorry, didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they're talking about how these voices help them, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I have like a litany of voices in my head screaming at me all the time that don't make any sense, that are very nonsensical. That sometimes I can hear what they're saying, and I'm like, don't think that. That's oh my god, what is that?
That's a bad idea.
But then I'm trying to tell the person that has what they say as rational voices helping them in their head, like, no, you can't have voices in your head because that's bad. Right. But even when I started to find my intuition and then was like, okay, the voices, I'm going to focus on the voices. They were even more nonsensical because it was almost like they were just clamoring at the chance to be like, oh my God, here's us. Let's all say the same thing at the same time. We're all going to say our input. We're all going to put our shit in there. And it's like, the voices, the volumes are too loud. So it's like, I was like, no, there's no voices. And then when I thought there were going to be voices, I expected them to be more coherent.
Not so much.
Organized.
I feel like empaths have that too. They do that too. They'll be like, I don't have any feels. Oh my God, I have all the feels, right? And then somewhere in between of which feel, when's the feel, what are the feels? Yeah. So, yeah. It's really nice to just be in a container with some other people and play it out, right? Be like, oh, my saboteur always has that same tone. Like it's always my mother, right, in my head saying blah, blah, blah. And then when you recognize, this is how I sabotage myself. That's my alarm system. I need to turn that one off and say, I got this. I can do this. Versus the critic that just tears you down, right? Or be like, are you trying to master me? Shall we play?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's
Shall
do
we
this.
be mastered? Today. Or maybe shut up and take a vacation. I can't deal with that right now.
Yeah.
All the different voices seem to have different attempts at keeping us safe is the way I think of the mind. I think of it as trying to solve problems for us. It's really good at solving problems usually.
Yeah.
And it can be a little bit of a problem if it's thinking it is all of what you are.
Yes.
So we got to notice the mind and appreciate and love it for its capacity and understand that it is not the heart and it's not the gut
Yeah.
and it's not the spirit.
And that's where I
Yeah.
got caught. I get caught up a lot. Is I think I can solve my own problems.
Of
You know, like
course.
our mind is a problem-solving machine. So can't it solve its own machine problem? Right.
And you often do. You do all day.
Yeah.
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 Some of them you can't, but then it's just like, ah!
Then some you just hamster wheel and you're just
That's
back
it.
and just making your circles. And it's
But
like
but the minute you start noticing, that's my hamster wheel, right? Then you're like, oh, hamster wheel. And then you can go play that. Well, it depends on how much of a hamster wheel it is. You can go play with trauma if it's that kind of hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Or you can just drop into your heart anchors and get the heck out of your head for a minute and see how it feels. Or your gut. Oh, your gut.
Ah, the
Our
gut.
guts are brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be like, no. Or yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Guts
And
are nice.
trust your gut. You know, it's like that's the one intuition thing I've heard my entire life. You know, but then the studies I've been reading a lot recently about acetaminophen and ibuprofen is that
Oh, Lord.
we're constantly taking these as like vitamins, as candy.
Yep.
Daily. It's part of you got blood pressure issues. Take Bear every morning. You're gonna thin your blood out. It'll be great. And now we're realizing that we're deadening our emotions. We're deadening our empathy. We're deadening our intuition because we're training our body to not listen to the things that it's telling us just from that one little pill that we take. Oh, my knee hurts. I'm going to take that pill so my knee doesn't hurt. But now I'm just creating this barrier between my intuition and my body because my intuition is saying, hey, your knee hurts for a reason. And then I just take this pill and be like, but it doesn't. That's
And
fine.
I wonder if it also is a whole paradigm of how to look at the body's messages, right? And placebo is 70%, right? So you can actually think about taking something for your knee and it won't start working,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if it's as simple as don't ever take aspirin either, right? So it gets to be really an interesting dance.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the intuition, we keep going back to. It's like if my intuition is telling me that, look, I've listened to my body enough.
Yes.
I've worked with this power up deck. I've worked with my guides. I've worked
Yes.
with whatever, and I understand where my example. I have one from this morning. I was sitting in my meditation. I taught a class this morning.
Yeah.
I've got a busy day. I've got interview
Yep.
with you. I've got 2 clients afterwards, back to
Yay.
back to back. It's
Dude.
great. And so I was sitting in my meditation after I was teaching, and I asked myself, I'm like, should I take a microdose today?
Yeah.
Got a long day. I've got a lot of thinking to do, a lot of talking to do.
Do I need to be clean?
Helps
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
get my shit together,
Yes.
And immediately, no.
Uh-oh, you got clear cognizance.
Yep. And immediately from
Yep,
that, I was like,
that was clear.
are you sure?
Yeah, and then we're
But I
like,
feel like I
what
should.
do I want?
But and then I'm like, oh, but I feel like I should, right? I asked the question, I got the answer, and I listened to my intuition because I heard it,
Yes.
but it wasn't the answer I wanted.
Yes.
So now it's like, but are you sure? Let's ask again. Let me feel a different part of my body. And then to me, that's in my mind, and this is just my mind, that's the addict brain.
Absolutely.
Right? Now you're trying to escape. You're trying to get somewhere different than you are now because you're afraid maybe of the day you have ahead of you.
Yes.
You've got back to back to back and interviews clients, and you want to try to maybe numb. So the microdose you're taking to help turn on your brain and to help connect the neural paths is not the reason why you're actually taking that. So my intuition is telling me that if I take this, I'm going to disassociate rather than go deeper into my practice. Shit. Okay, that is a big no for me then because that's my addict brain talking.
And that is why people don't like to start the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because when you start the game and it's actually amazing how fast you just went through all that. And also, it means you're not an addict choice today.
Right.
Like, that is truly beautiful.
Celebrate that.
I know. Like, you just completely went through not having an addiction in, how long did it take you? Maybe 2 minutes?
Yeah, about 2 to 3 minutes.
2
yeah.
to 3 minutes. You just cleared a pattern that could have thrown you off for years if you didn't pay attention, right? So that's amazing. It also is work. Like, it's also taking time mindfulness, awareness, and vulnerability,
Right.
and willingness and courage to look at what you got going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All of those are how I see health work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful but hard process.
Yes.
Because as healthy as that,
It's juicy.
it is, and it's just, I think it's moments like that that I realize how strong that pattern making brain of ours is, and how, as much as the patterns we may have lived in don't serve us anymore, they're our go-tos, and they're immediate. It's so easy to kind of revert back to that, and it's a tangible process to stop these things.
Well, I mean, we have the body consciousness, which is very much like an animal, right?
Yeah.
And you have the mind consciousness, which is not. And then you have claircognizance, which is when that voice comes through with that objective clearness, you're kind of screwed, right? Like, you just know. But like, that one I can try to doubt, but it's going to be rough. Like, I will shoot all my brain at that I can, but I'm pretty sure I already know, right? And then but then when you check that level of objectivity with the body, sometimes it's still too much for the body. Like, sometimes you still have to take your dog to the vet, right? And that dog's never going to want to go to the vet, right? Yeah. Well, I don't know. You might have a really good vet.
She hates it. Nope.
Yeah. But
does not like it.
But like, it's for the best for that situation, right? And then that means utilizing your beautiful mind the way you just did, by, this is my choice, this is my action, and now I'm going to caretake my body in a direction of getting that need met. Or you can also do it the other way, which is, this is my choice. Screw you, body. I'm sorry you feel bad today, and I guess I'll just kick you to the curb and try to keep going, right? Or you don't need, your needs are not important. Yeah. Like, no, just be as loving as possible. Maybe I could take a microdose today. I could not take a microdose today. I'm going to try not doing it. I'm going to try doing what my guides have told me to do, or what my guidance is, and see how that goes.
Yeah.
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 And we'll see what goes well and doesn't go well.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's
maybe I just need to talk to Dr. Wallace about this. Like, you never know how the universe is messing with you.
Yep. I had somebody tell me the other day, and it was kind of funny. It was kind of annoying, but also, like, the more I think about it, the more I just really love this statement.
Yeah.
I was having a shitty day, and this person said, just remember, you've got 100% success getting through shitty days.
Yes, you have.
And I immediately wanted to argue with that person, be like, hey,
but I didn't like it.
I did get through those days.
Yes.
I'm alive. I'm standing.
Yes, you did.
Right. There may have been things that maybe, like, shit I had to get through, but I've still got through it.
Yeah.
And I'm 43-year-old man sitting here today.
Yes.
Broken and still fixing, and we're figuring out life, but I've made it. And so. Yeah. It's got to remind yourselves that no matter how shitty the experiences you think right then and there, you've gotten past that before.
Yeah.
And what's on the other side might take some time to get, the understanding, but there is another side, and there is continuance from there, And so, like, having those having the support systems built in, right?
Yes.
So, like you said, Dr. Wallace, I'm going to talk with her when she gets here today. The Oracle decks, your favorite podcast you listen to, right? Your friend
So
you haven't
many.
talked to in forever, that you might feel guilty calling because you haven't talked to them in forever, but they're the only person that can help you. Give them a call, right? Our support systems are there. We're just afraid to use them a lot of the times.
I think we're evolving. That's the edge of evolving I see us doing, because I think we're moving kind of from the third chakra level of development, which is like identities and mental realm and good, bad. Well, good, bad, we kind of came through a little bit already and are still struggling with. But this level of, this is who I am, this is all that I am, and, and I play this way. We have to evolve into connections, into collaborating and cooperating, and the heart, right? Yep. So we're moving into this connection level of beingness. And I think you'll know your folks, right? Yeah. But I think people are being drawn right now to connect that way.
I agree. So talked about the power up revolution that kind of moves around nicely with all this.
Yes, it does. Hey. The power up revolution it's a meditation that I was guided to do, and it's very fun. Actually, it's it's a group of women so far. Haven't had too many men, but you're invited.
Hey, all right.
All of you. To come in, and all genders are invited. And we basically get on this disc and it goes through all the chakras and raises it up off of the planet a little bit. And so it's working with a direct personal level with each chakra. So I am grounded. And then it works with the group level of the chakra. So what it feels like to be I am grounded, what it feels like to be we are grounded. What it feels, and I'm saying feel, but it's really just an experiential journey. And then we raise up all the way up to the crown chakra together and connect that. And then usually there's some sort of party from the guides there at the top, where the second part is opening up the toric field to bring your own kind of internal battery back online. And then they almost always just wash the cells with colors. So it kind of feeds and nourishes the body.
Wow.
And then we give whatever's extra and as a gift back to the earth. So it has... It's a weird one. And Hannah's been nice enough to help me play it on Amkara. I have noticed there are different levels with it, and I have to make a beginner's level because my advanced levels are kind of going off the planet a lot.
Yeah.
And having, really kind of big different changes there. So I don't know whatever I do, I get guided, and I'm not sure exactly why it's quite so intense. But I have found that at the end of the meditation, we can feel the impact of group co-creation, and we can feel the impact of that on our own stability. So I think I invented it for empaths, honestly, because it's so many times empaths feel emotions all over the place, and the power up really is a way of it's kind of aligning yourself, not feeling them, but getting back to your center quickly and solidly, so that when those things move through, you can actually recognize and shift quickly back to your own center of power.
Okay.
So it's a pretty amped up party.
Yeah. How often do you, is it like a daily guided meditation? If somebody had a personal practice?
Yeah. So I have all of the daily guided videos are on the website from the product. It's a subscription for $8 a month.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you can get on there, and why I'm calling it a revolution is because I think if everybody's stabilized and co-creating, we're evolving us. Yeah. So we're having fun, but they can do the daily practice until they feel ready to get on the disc with the rest of us. And then we're every Tuesday at noon.
Right on.
So yeah, we just meet and on Zoom, online, and power up. And it's really fun when it's like across states, which it is a lot right now. Yeah. So we've even got some across international. But so it's cool to like feel us all lift the disc off of across the the world. Yeah.
Was the revolution part initially part of your idea for the deck? Was that like a natural progression, or
where the heck did the deck come from?
Yeah.
Yes, all of my things, they just they come in. Like I'm just like, and this and this. And honestly, the deck I've had in my mind, and then I've had all these people have asked me for so long to explain the colors, and I find myself explaining them over and over and over. And then, like I said, my friend Christina was like, we're doing this. We're doing this. I love her so much. Thank you, Christina, man.
Yeah.
But yes, she's like, and then she sat there and did it, like with me. So, I'm playing with them still learning them myself, but I really enjoy just having it that simple. This is your color. Look it up,
Yeah.
or feel it. Don't even look it up. Just experience it, because that's all that matters to me with colors anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful message too. I work with so many clients that want to know what this means. There's a meaning to this. What is the meaning? No, what is your interpretation of this as a meaning, right?
Yes.
And I think
what would you like it to be?
that rubs people the wrong way sometimes. Like, no black and white.
There's no stability.
This is good, this is bad. Like I was saying earlier, what's the counter to blue-green? Because I want to feel the counter of that. It's like that humanistic side that we have.
We don't have, unless there's structure, there's a whole part of us that doesn't feel safe, right? Like we need to have some stability there. And so I do find it useful to find that part of yourself and use it. I like rules. I like details. I'm dorky like that. Yeah. And I would like things to be black and white, except for when they aren't.
Right.
Like, we need the lines and we need the colors.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
And there's a card, actually, a black and white card. And there's an in and out card.
Yes,
so
I saw that
those
one.
are like, do we need to make this a black and white choice? Do we need to, is this a polarity we should stay on the left brain?
Yeah.
Or is this something in my outside world that's impacting me that I can't see out of, right?
Right.
Yeah.
In sound healing, there's complementary tones that make harmonics, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
you have like, let's take a C and an F, like
Yes.
the flat, a traditional C and a traditional F. You play those together; those are complementary. They'll make a third tone or harmonic.
Ooh.
Our brain loves that pattern, right? Like we just said, patterns.
Lovely.
We love this plus this equals that every time. We're good.
Yes, math.
And then we have like, say, a flat and a sharp,
Dissonance.
right? And then that dissonance, exactly. There's no delineated line there. There's no black and white. It's like here, there, wah, 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 wah. And our brain hates that. We do not like that. But we need that. And that's one of the most interesting parts of sound healing is if I just let you live in the pattern world, if I make those third tones and let you live up there, you'll feel nice and cozy.
Yeah.
But we're not doing any work. We're not moving boulders. We're not getting that spiritual crowbar out, right? So when I set you up with the third tone, right? I
Yes.
give you that nice little warm, fuzzy, marshmallowy blanket to wrap yourself up in, and you're all in that theta
good.
state. And then all of a sudden the dissonance hits. That annoyance that brings you right back here is the most present you've been in a very long time.
Yes.
So that presence is the work that you're doing of like, why am I upset that I'm here right now when I was in Marshmallow Land? Oh, let's start to unpack this. Let's talk about this. Let's feel the inside. Let's feel the intuition, the emotion that's present,
Yes.
and that's where the beautiful magic happens is, why did I just get jolted back here from that beautiful state? What is my current state? What is the story present in my head? There you go. That's my work. Okay, cool. Figuring it out.
And that's how homeopathy works too. I don't know if that's what homeopathy is. It's like you are a container of energy that at your natural state, you always feel awesome, right? Like if you were to take your full you that you feel the pixel of or whatever and feel it all, you're good. So when you put a homeopathic in, a physical homeopathic or a color homeopathic or a frequency sound homeopathic, it actually vibrates at the rate of the dissonance a little bit louder, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you do that, you bring your awareness to it. You're like, oh, that's not me. Like, I didn't hear that. And then you have a chance, an opportunity to resonate with it. I think I'm working with this really cool group right now, and we're all studying how that actually works through the autonomics too. The autonomic nervous system. You can't keep the sensory in your mental realm of all of your senses of your body at all times. If you did, you'd blow your mind, right?
Yeah.
Literally. So we turn some down that we turn them down.
Yeah.
And it's like a gentle way to turn them up just a little to be manageable instead of like, nee. Because if it starts screaming, you're going to turn it off, or you're going to have to turn it off some other way, right? So it's this dance of us.
Yeah, there's a study I read recently, and they're talking about ways to utilize frequencies to increase body health.
Oh yeah,
sound healing. What I do.
So many.
And so one of the things that they're doing now is, and it kind of spurred from the idea of the. I think it's in Norway. There's the quietest room they've created, right? It's the room is so quiet that people go crazy sitting in this room.
Solitary confinement.
Right. Well, one of the ideas they're working with is that you're so quiet, you can hear how unhealthy your body is.
Wow.
You can actually hear how like the liver doesn't sound like the liver's supposed to, or you can hear the wheeze, whether you audibly hear it or to subconscious hearing, because there's frequencies outside of what we can hear.
Yes.
So with that understanding in mind, I'm pretty sure it's Johns Hopkins or University of Michigan, one of those two, if not both, are taking experiments. So let's say I have an unhealthy liver, right?
Yeah.
So I've cirrhosis of the liver, whatever it is, right? And you have a healthy liver.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the doctors will record your healthy liver into some kind of device and then play it back to me, whether it's right over my liver or in my ear. Again, whether I can hear it or not, my body still senses it. And the body will say, wait a minute, my liver doesn't sound like that liver. That one sounds way better. It's like an out-of-tune guitar versus a tuned guitar.
Exactly.
And then my body's like, we should
What
we
would
should
I
really
prefer?
kind of sound like that. And then
Yeah.
it'll start to change its frequency to sound like the healthy liver just from hearing it. No surgery,
That's
no manipulation, no drugs, none of that shit. It's just showing basically a mirror to the liver and be like, you should sound different. You sound a little sick. There's a cough there. And be like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Let me just get rid of that cough.
I love that explanation of that, Adam. That was really nicely journeyed.
Thank you.
Because I could I'd be like, that's all of bioresonance from Germany from the last 200 years.
Yeah.
But no one knows what the hell I'm talking
Right.
about, right?
Yeah.
But what you just described is they literally put the frequency of the health into the body, and the body responds with, oh, this is not aligned with what I am, so I'd rather do that, right? Cells are sentient and alive, right? They're all sentient and alive, so they can pick. They get to, and you are the loudest signal for them, right? But they would prefer to not have a negative signal usually. I don't know if it's negative. They would prefer optimal rainbow.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned this a few times now, and it's kind of like, I forget the term that you use. I have it written down somewhere, but I can't read my notes right now. But it's like you have this team of people within you, and you just like call forth the person that
God help everyone.
needed
Yes.
to to handle the situation.
Oh, we are a community.
Community, yes,
There
yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
Yes, so many different communities. I think of us as many layers of community.
Yeah.
That can be even more complicated than just thinking of yourself as body,
Right.
mind, spirit. So
There's it's so interesting. Like I've randomly caught concepts from the Navy SEALs recently.
Oh.
And and I find them. There's a couple that transfer over pretty well. And one is slow is smooth, smooth is fast, which is great because we always rush through shit thinking that we're supposed to go fast. Because
Yeah.
I'm late, and then my rushing actually causes more foibles.
More lateness,
right?
yep.
So if you do something slow and you get used to doing it slow, that becomes your smooth.
Yeah.
And then when you have to go fast, you revert to slow because slow is smooth.
Smart.
You don't make any mistakes.
There you go.
There you go. You've done your thing.
Ooh, I didn't know that was a Navy SEAL. That's
Yeah,
nice.
Navy SEALs.
Get
Like,
it?
go fucking figure.
Lots of left brain stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the other one that they talk about that I really love is it talks about how you have all these personalities within you,
Yeah.
and you have the discernment to call forth which one you need at that point in time.
Yeah.
Right. And so in the Navy SEAL life, if you have your calm, like let's say in my world, my calm dad, just go out and chill kind of person rising up when I've got to like load my magazine and get ready to go like
Not
black
the
ops
right
some
one.
shit. Yeah, not the right guy that
Yeah,
needs to be up there
somebody
right now.
else in here?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
call up the commander. We're
There
fucked
you
up
go.
here.
Yeah.
But understanding that we have so many different personalities and
those
different
are
ways to
archetypes, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so like, okay, I need my strength right now. I need my warrior because I'm feeling timid,
Yes.
I'm feeling aggressed upon.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mean, but I need to feel like I'm standing up for myself. So that person, let's call that person up there.
And we have unconscious running programs to greet people with our archetypes, right?
Yeah.
So my tendency is to move from the mom archetype or whatever in this situation, but I really should be bringing teacher here instead of mom here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it trains us to actually get back to that deliberate middle space. And that's supposed to be the third of the Power Up books. But I have three, I have a trinity coming
Yeah,
out
but-
of me.
oh my
God
gosh, all
help
right.
everyone. Just, I still haven't fully edited Power Up 1.
Yeah.
But the third one is actually about a stage, like bringing your characters onto the stage, right? And being the stage for them so that you can actually navigate and play through which ones are the most appropriate. Not appropriate. Sometimes it's just playing.
Right.
That sounds weird, but it's really helpful if you could stay curious and playful and then just be like, would this one work the best here? Or would
Right.
this one work the best here?
Yeah.
And some of the special ops people I've met are some of the most advancedly psychic people I've ever met and definitely understand that realm deeply.
Yeah.
Did meet one that could actually bilocate, and that kind of freaked me out.
Wow.
There were three of him in the room, and I'm like, that's scary.
Wow.
He's like, that really helped me in battle. I was like, I bet it does. So you never know. There were three of him standing in my living room.
It's so interesting because I've, through my journey, I've found myself working with people in recovery in different ways.
Yeah.
And one of the really interesting things I've found is that I feel like a lot of people that are in recovery have accessed something or are deadening something they've already had access
Yes.
to because they were afraid of it. And so that whole idea of, like, of course people in special ops are going to have strong intuitions, or maybe
Crazily
even,
strong.
because it's like and that's how important that stuff is, but we're still not letting the masses understand the importance of what we like pride these black ops fucking people to do, to listen, to be able to do, to call up the person that they need, to feel the intuition, to know that there's somebody waiting behind that door that they've got to take care of, but they've not seen them. They just feel it.
What wouldn't it be great if we could get those guys to come out and talk and say,
Yeah.
and girls,
Yep.
yeah, all late. And also, you think doctors aren't this? Like doctors are this. How the heck are they going to come in a room for 5 minutes? Some of them are. Many of them are in the closet,
Yeah.
right? So, or any. Let's go across all professions, shall we? How about janitors? How about janitors are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Incredible. I don't know, often. Or people that work at the 7-Eleven, like, are total angels healing everybody who walks through often.
I love that
like,
idea.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what if we could just all kind of not have so much stigma on it? Would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe it'll just bust out, we'll lose our minds and have to use it. That's a possibility also. Don't worry, it'll get worse. That's that joke.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's got to get worse before it gets better.
We're going to need those.
Yeah.
They'll come out soon.
Uh-huh. Well, so you've talked about the book a couple times, and now you've told me it's going to be a trilogy, which is good Lord, I love that.
Better make sure I've just because I've conceptualized it like that. We'll see how they play.
Well, you put it on. You put it out there now. It's got to happen.
Oh, there we go. Manifest.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when do you feel like you'll have the book ready to be out there?
So it's editing.
Okay.
Which I thought would take a lot less time, but I wanted it to be this year. We'll see.
Okay.
But the book's finished, which is nice, until you re-edit it 5 or 6 times.
Yep. And that supports the deck, and that supports the revolution that you're working through.
They are all on the same concepts. The Power Up, this is Power Up Your Window of Health book. So this has the things we just talked about: listening to the body, listening to the intuition, listening to the mind, listening to the gut, and the animal. It has a section on trauma, and I call it brain talk, which is like understanding your animal differently and playing with different animals to get you out of your states of trauma.
Yeah.
And then it has Window of Health, which is like understanding health and how to jump in on that intuitively, which is very detailed and my weirdness of detail. So that's the part I'm trying to still make accessible on the editing.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
We're
I'm
going
sure,
to use a lot of pictures is what it looks like. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Right on. There's leading your inner community. I think that was the part of the book that I really... leading your inner community.
So that one is about leadership in general and those archetypes we were talking about.
Definitely.
And also all of our inner children. Each time, right? Each time if you go back through your triggers, you can just pick a time. The inner children and inner adults are super helpful to get us anchored back into community.
Yeah.
And you're talking about addiction to me is, I think we've talked about this before, but it's always got a loss of community aspect, right? Or a loss of connection aspect. In order for this substance to be appealing, it has to connect with us in some way. And if we're finding that to be more pleasant than actual connection, we might be missing it.
Yeah. That's really interesting with the, I was talking to somebody about safe injection sites recently.
Yeah.
And, I go both ways. I don't think it's the best idea,
What
but
do we do?
It's an answer for now, right?
Yeah.
But to what you just said, the connection side, and when we turn to substances, a lot of times we don't feel connected and we're lost, and so that is something that connects to us, right?
Yes.
And with safe injection sites, one of the things that they found is that with heroin, for example, like if somebody ODs on heroin, one of the things that shuts down is your autonomic nervous system, so your lungs stop, right?
Yep.
So you could be fully conscious, but your lungs just don't pump anymore. So the EpiPen or the Narcan or whatever it is to get that person back in there, right?
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of people that talk about that have had themselves brought back from that moment, and it's like their reason. They've found their reason for living again, right? They've had their moment with God or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beautiful like arguments for safe injection sites, is that when you get your life saved, then you find a reason for that. But I think, to what you just said, maybe it's that they finally found connection. Now, whether that person that saved their life was just doing it because they get paid to do it and that's their job to just sit there and make sure that people don't die, but that could be the first amount of connection that person that just had their life saved and brought back to them has felt in a long time, if ever. And it coming from somebody that may not have, it's like, no, I'm not saving you because you're my brother, my family, my sister, whatever it is. You're a random person that I'm just doing this for. That could be the most impactful thing that's ever happened in that person's life, that just had their life saved by a stranger.
Yes.
That connects them.
Yes.
If I'm connected to this stranger and this random person just saved my life, who else could I have the potential of connection
Exactly. To? And or nature, or all of the things, right? I don't, I think it's a lie that we aren't. That's hard. It's a hard lie that we aren't connected and interconnected. And it's part of, I think, some of the control features of our society to have it ranking out, right? So that we can have a bad guy and a good guy and keep our rules or whatever. But so many stories of it being a dog, right? Or a stranger just looking at you at the right moment. I actually also had an ND, I died when I was little. So I had a different connection thing come in for me.
Okay.
But, and since then I think I connect more to that realm than I do to this one often.
Yeah.
But this one they're not interdependent. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, no, I think, I think the more we start to understand life, the more we realize that it's not interdependent, and so the example that I read about recently was, one of the big arguments right now is the multiple universes, right?
Yeah.
The multiverse idea, right?
Yes.
And M theory, string theory, whichever way you want to look at it, is one of the most, it's the most provable theory that we have, right? It checks all the boxes in a theoretical sense to prove all the things we need from a scientific aspect to say, yes, that's a viable thing that could be the thing, right? And it's like, so to think that there's at least, depending on who you talk to, 11 to 15 universes that are like a billionth of a nanosecond away from each other.
Timelines.
Might sound just completely outlandish and ridiculous to somebody, right?
Sure.
But the example that was given to me was it was in 1923. Astronomers were arguing about whether or not nebulous clouds were actual nebulous clouds, or if they were other galaxies that we just couldn't see properly. Right. And there was a big camp that said, no, we've got astronomy figured out. Those are fucking clouds. There's no other galaxies. We're the fucking galaxy. We're the universe.
No way.
And then there's all this guy. They'd be like, hey, we don't know shit.
Yeah,
right? We've just invented like telescopes like within 100 years, this, right? Yeah. And turns out they're galaxies. They're not clouds. They're whole galaxies of other planets, other stars, other shit that we'll never even get to.
Yep.
And so to think that we've finitely figured out so much shit, to say, no, this is it. That brings me so much joy to know that we don't know anything.
Yes.
And that, something as outlandish as we're going to have multiple dimensions that we physically understand our reality within the next probably 10 to 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
What else don't we know? There's a plethora of things. And not only what don't we know, but what are we not prepared to even consider as a concept? And I think that's part of it. Yes. It's like we have these, like, the answer could be the easiest thing as to like the meaning of the universe or why we're here, whatever it is. But we just haven't gotten ourselves to the understanding to accept that as being an answer. There's so much still to unpack from it,
And what great truth isn't a paradox, honestly, right? That's quantum for me, right?
Yeah.
Quantum is simultaneously you are the point of the creation of consciousness, and it is determined by you, and you're completely interdependent with the field, right? All at the same time, and we're all doing it at the same time.
Constantly.
Like, that's really kind of blows you out of the water, but also is really cool. Plus, also, if you're like, what if this means also I twitch this way, and then I'm now in this quantum universe or this quantum universe? Oh, Lord.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
Might
you throw
as-
the Mandela
I
effect on top
know,
of that,
just
and I'm
what?
like, Richard Simmons had a headband when I was
Did
a
he?
child. What the hell,
Definitely
man?
did.
Oh, my other podcast that I do, we did a whole episode on the Mandela effect.
All
And
right.
it's just so crazy how many things are out there that, like, you know, I
I'm
kind of
with ya.
remember, I kind of think that are there, but then the things that really trigger me, you know, is like, no, that was part of my childhood. Like, for some reason, Sinbad playing a genie named Shazam will never not be in my head as a movie I watched.
Yeah.
But has been scrubbed from the world. There's no copy of
It
Shazam.
doesn't exist.
There's no Sinbad has even come out and said he's never done that movie.
What?
But I remember having that on VHS as a child.
I feel like I saw that.
So just things like
There
that.
are many that are just, it's painful.
Yeah.
You're like, which timeline did I jump and
Right.
where am I?
It's like,
Yeah.
no, I want the Berenstein Bears
That
A&E and not
definitely
EIN.
had Berenstein. I'm not even starting on the Berenstein Bears. That's not okay. I just wasn't okay.
This
I
is
was
that.
like,
This is
you
that.
are crazy.
One of those ideas of that filtering through all those
Oh,
universes.
yeah.
You know, we're just like a hair off on some of the details. Some people recognize it. Some people don't give a shit. But to
I
me,
feel
like
like
there's
that's
some
going to
things.
be in the future. We're going to be like, this will determine. We're gonna actually use Berenstein Bears to determine which universe we're in.
Yeah.
yeah. It's going to be the thing that you look up.
Oh, we're in the
right?
Stain universe, not the Stein universe.
Exactly. You are the universe where he had the headband, but only for this many years. And yeah,
Oh,
that'll
man.
be those little bits of data will be very important later.
I love that. I hope
Yeah.
we can look back at this moment, like then 20, 30 years in the future, be like, remember when we didn't think there were universes? And there was like
It
all
was
this.
so cute.
Everything
Look
was
at
so
our little
finite.
cuteness. We have all that dogma. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
And we thought our body couldn't heal itself or regenerate. Yeah, weird.
Just our ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss.
It-
Good Lord.
We got to be where we are.
Yep,
Maybe
totally.
maybe we'll look back and be like, look at how cool we were. Look at what we came through. And that was hard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And boy, guess we jumped in on the party at the right moment.
Yep.
Look at how much we've changed with our quantum weirdness.
Well, there's a theory. I wouldn't call it a theory. Somebody talking about like ideas and stuff about overpopulation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this person was saying, instead of looking at it like overpopulation, maybe look at it with the idea of reincarnation, lens of reincarnation.
Everybody wants in.
Everybody wants in right now. We're coming out of that yuga of ignorance in the Hindu lore. There's the 4 yugas, and we're theoretically in the Kali yuga,
Yeah.
the yuga of ignorance, and right after that is the yuga of enlightenment, where
Yeah.
everybody realizes and remembers that we're gods and goddesses, and we have the powers to create and destroy, and we can fly on things and look down on stuff and do all the fun things, right? And everybody in every energy being in the galaxy is like, we want to be on Earth
Come.
right now. It's
Yeah.
going to be fun. We're about to usher in the age of enlightenment. Let's get there and do this shit.
Oh,
and so
and-
instead of like, there's so many people here, it's like, God, thank God there's so many people here now. We've been fucking struggling. God damn, trying to carry this
we're
weight.
rowing
Yeah.
the boat. Now we got these kids coming in being like, the nature of the universe is this. And I've remembered that since the age 4. Yeah. Yeah. All of them,
kids.
those little sparkling kids. You see them all. And we're just looking at their parents like, what creature are you? Like you can see they have the full memory recall. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
They're coming
Yeah.
in to help us out here.
We
I'm
need
pretty
it.
sure.
We need it.
Yeah.
So when do you think this book will be?
When
ready?
the heck? I don't have the published date. I
Okay.
would like it to be this year. It's
Okay.
probably going to be 2025.
Okay, right on.
Isn't that how they play?
Yeah, totally.
Let's get the publisher to actually publish it. Would be great.
Yeah. And it's best, I guess, to push it out. And
A manifest.
Yeah.
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 I feel like it's a 2025 book.
Okay.
Because 5 is my number.
All right.
I wanted it to be 2023 very much, but I wrote it then. So
There you go. You did your due diligence.
do what you do. Books have their own kind of birthing timing, I'm discovering.
They really do.
But and their way of changing. My book is in the toddler phase.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be ready for publishing next year.
Yeah. I had a friend that was writing a book, and I think they wrote 3 about 10,000 word copies and trashed
Woo.
them all, and was like, no. Wrote another one. No, wrote another one. I'm like, stop doing that. It's making me anxious.
I know.
'Cause I don't have any part in this book at all. It's making
Ow.
me anxious.
Yes, that's a little nicer than writing the whole thing and having someone else trash the whole thing, which is an adventure.
Yeah.
They were like, stop crying, get back up, do it again.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well,
editors are helpful.
They are.
White-
Everybody serves their purpose.
That black and white, get it done. So I would like it to be understandably accessible. That would be the goal.
Yep. Right on.
Many pictures.
Yep.
Possibly a card deck. Yeah, there we go.
Love it. Hell yeah.
By then, there'll be enough people doing the power up. They'll speak my language, and we'll be all set.
Yeah.
Joke. At least there's something in it for everybody. At least everybody has to listen to their own mind. Be crazy sometimes.
We need to. Yeah. Yeah. And so with the power up deck, you have the power up revolution. You have
Yes.
the book. There's the YouTube stuff that you put out as well.
Yeah, I
And
have
does
the EOE
that
report.
support with the power up process, or is that kind of its own entity?
It's its own thing.
Okay.
It's Embody Our Evolution report, which is my weekly weather report on our evolutionary body map. So it's an example of how I do medical intuitive readings, and I just channel the map and then interpret it for people every week.
Okay.
So last week we had You Rang, which was essentially a rope hanging from the sky and having the guide saying, pull. Essentially,
Yeah.
It's a good week to just start pulling if you need our help, and you will receive. Like, it's a good week to manifest help on what that is. That's the first time I've ever had a rope like that
Okay.
on the map. So, and last week we had a completely different focus. We had fireworks shooting out, so it's kind of nice to have an unlimited medium to just be like, weird,
Yeah.
this is what's coming this week.
And are
But-
those images or those ideas that you're kind of gifted, that you're
Yeah.
channeling, and then you present that? Okay, you draw it out, and okay, so now this is what I was shown,
Yes.
and now I'm going to interpret this for everybody on that.
So when I do my medical intuitive readings, I draw something I call an embody map for the person. So I do a meditation before I work with them. I kind of like not meeting them. And then I draw this picture. And the picture has, every color has a meaning. Every position on the page has a meaning. And it's a way of me not having to empath them entirely. And I can just read a map for myself and help them engage. And then, so I think originally I thought, well, to be honest, my wife is like, you should do this. So I did. And then I started doing it, and it felt like it helped make my embody map process a little more accessible. But then it also took off into this other place where people are connecting on it, and people are connecting with each other on it. And it has some pretty interesting overlays all through those timings with astrology seems to come up on the same weeks. And
Wow.
so it's more of like an art sampling of our consciousness is kind of the feeling, or one concept at a time.
Okay.
But the energies are definitely any of the embody maps. It's not just an interpretation of what's wrong with you in my medical intuitive readings. It's a snapshot of what's the superpowers are, and an offering of how you might look at them, right? Like, what if you embodied it this way? What if it seems like this is what the issue is coming up, but it also could look like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that
And
perspective shift.
and I see people as freaking beautiful. So most of the time I think, even when someone's in a horribly difficult physical or mental state, oftentimes the map will come back just beautiful. And it's interesting when the person's just like, that's strange. It's not always. Sometimes there's like a shark or something crazy, right?
Yeah.
But they'll be like, that's strange. But then when I read it to them, the feedback is almost always exactly the same. They'll be like, well, that's exactly how I feel right now.
Wow.
What you just said is how it reflects to me the state I'm in. But it's an option or an opportunity to see the beauty in what's happening. I kind of think that's the art part of me coming through, the artist. Yeah.
Well, I think that lends to the idea that, if say we have the five senses that we have: touch, smell, taste, sight. All those work perfectly, let's say. We have
Yeah.
no problems, but they're all still being filtered by our consciousness.
Always
And
everything's
if
in your
we're
mind.
not,
Yeah.
in a good place, then, this calm setting that we have in front of us, you across from me,
Yes.
Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, plants all around us, everything's calm, everything's great. But if I'm pinged, if I'm anxious, then all of this is triggering to me.
Yeah.
And
How's my
nothing is-
in?
Yeah, right.
My out's okay.
Yeah.
How's my in?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just I think it's good to have that that perspective shift, and to have somebody reframe something for you. That reframing, because we feel like we figured it out. Like we
Yes.
said earlier, the brain loves problem solving. Brain figured it out. I'm in a shitty mood. This sucks. All this is bullshit. And it's, having somebody reframe that into, let's look at this from a different lens, and
Yeah.
then you can unpack your own thing of like, oh, I'm just being an asshole.
And I think that's what art does a lot. Like, I think it takes you out of the left brain a bit and puts you into a different context. And so I mean, this was a little hard for my doctor brain at first. I just need you to know. Like, I have two parts of the reading. Like, the other one is all the specific details of exactly which bacteria it is and what
Oh, wow.
on Thursday you need to do for that
Okay.
bacteria, right? Like, I have the window of health part so that I can play all of the microbes and all of the other
Okay.
crazy details that I like to do with people. But the map is something for them to very easily just use as a picture to look at, remind them, set them on their, kind of help them to feel beautiful and remember to go forward with it, right? And then the cool part about the maps is they just become totally wrong. Like, there's so many people like looking at the map like, that's not me. And then, you need a new map, right?
Yep.
You're just like, not my map, is my map. Yeah. Or I would like legs on that. Let's draw them on, right? Or I feel like I could use some superpower being coming in to help me right here. Draw, it's a map, like it's a picture. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, change reality with it a little. Right brain, definitely. Right?
I love that.
It's taking you out of the limited idea
Yeah.
of you. You're not limited.
It's almost like you don't embrace the victim mentality. See how this opportunity presents itself for you to add to.
Absolutely. Or often, even if there is a victim thing going on, I'll draw plenty of maps where someone is like, hiding under a battlefield, or but what's hitting them isn't what they thought, right? Or all their ancestors are lined up behind them, or we so rarely have our own story separate from everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, so many dances together.
No, so many dances.
Yeah.
Well, I love talking with you.
You too.
What are some ways people can get in touch with you if they want to book a session or kind of reach out with you more?
All my website, draubreywallace.com.
Okay.
Trying to get it all to just that.
Just one funnel.
One and
appreciate
easy,
that.
one easy funnel. I know I have lots of complexity. Put it into a card that says not complex.
Right?
Yes. Or
Well,
come enter my realm of crazy.
Yep. And it's so much fun in there.
It is. We like to play.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Here. Play
You
and
draw,
love.
we play.
And have some beauty.
Yeah.
Have some fun.
Well, I thank
Change
you
your life.
for everything that you do.
Thank you, Adam.
I'm excited to get you back whenever your book comes out.
Yay!
Well, if it takes till 2025 or get you back before
You're
then.
going to be the first to know the publishing date. I will call you.
Please, I would love to get a copy. I want to read
Yes,
it.
you will.
I love what you do and how you present your knowledge. And
Thank you.
Just thank you for everything you do. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for you, Adam.
All right, we'll see you soon.
All right.
Thank you so much for spending time with Dr. Aubrey and I. Please check out the show notes for ways to get in touch with Dr. Aubrey, to learn more about her Power Up deck or the Revolution, and ways you can support the show. Obeisance and love. We'll see y'all next time.